Let's get it. 580 Sports Talk is live and direct on a Tuesday. We've got 3 hours of sports talk coming your way this afternoon on the Sports Voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW, FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com, and in living color on our YouTube stream, the YouTube channel 580 Sports Talk. You can also watch on Facebook at WIBW News. However you are joining the program today, thanks for being a part of the audience. We look forward to hanging out with you here on 580 Sports Talk. My name is Dan Lucero. Feeling great, feeling good. How are you? Spencer Dupuis will be along in a bit. Brendan Wrzinski is off today. 3 hours of sports talk, and we're in a good mood today. We ought to be. We're in a good mood today. Training camp is underway. The Kansas City Chiefs are practicing football. There is footage of Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce and Rashee Rice and Chris Jones and all your favorites playing the football in T-shirts and shorts, but it's day one. And football's back. Training camp underway. We've got lots to get to from St. Joe today. Andy Reid spoke to the media. Patrick Mahomes spoke to the media. Also heard from George Karlaftis and Trey Smith. We'll bring all that audio to you here in the first hour of 580 Sports Talk as the Chiefs return to St. Joe and return to the business of trying to become just the second team in NFL history to win 4 consecutive AFC championships. So lots to get to, obviously, from that. We're looking forward to that very much. But we also ought to be in a good mood because the Royals walked a mud hole in the Chicago Cubs last night. That was fun. It didn't start fun. 4-1, you could certainly have been forgiven for thinking it was going to be a long night. After all, it was 4-1 after 2 innings of baseball. Then the Cubs did their best bad news Bears impression in the 5th inning, and the game got progressively worse for them, but better for the Royals from there. All of a sudden, the Royals' power is surging. They've got more home runs in their last 13 games than they did in the previous 27 games. And Salvador Perez, of course, in the middle of that with his 20th career multi-homer game last night. John Rave and Jack Caglione also going deep. Is the drought starting to end for the bottom half of the Royals order? They don't all have to be prime George Brett, but if just one of them contributes something positive each night, that goes a long way towards floating the Royals lineup for sure. We'll break down that 12-4 win from last night. We'll also get into tonight's game 2 of that 3-game series as the Royals trot out 45-year-old Rich Hill to make his Royals debut. He will appear for his Major League record-tying 14th different Major League team. Rich Hill and Matthew Boyd, the matchup. Matthew Boyd might be the next Rich Hill. Honestly, you're looking for a candidate for the next left-hander to pitch well into their 40s. I'm just saying Matthew Boyd's on that kind of a track. A couple of older, I say older, not in comparison to Rich Hill. Matthew Boyd is a sprightly young 34 compared to Rich Hill. But a couple of veteran lefties on the bump at Wrigley Field tonight. We'll get into that a little bit later on in today's show as well. 2 great guests to bring you today. Coming up later on this hour, at the bottom of this hour, the Big Kev Giveback Camp is coming back to the capital city this coming Friday, July 25th. The brainchild of a couple of former Highland Park Scots, Michael Wilhoite and Kyle Weems, an opportunity for young people to develop their athletic skills and learn about what sports can do for them as they grow up and advance in life. Pleased to have Michael Wilhoite join us at the bottom of this hour. Of course, the former Highland Park Scot, Washburn Ichabod, 7-year NFL vet, NFL coach. Michael Wilhoite will join us at the bottom of this hour to talk about the Big Kev Giveback Camp, how it has grown, how it will continue, hopefully, to grow as it goes on, and what they look forward to this coming Friday here in the capital city with the Big Kev Giveback. Also on the show today, Michael Swain makes his triumphant return. He's off his honeymoon and he's back to work. And Michael Swain will join us at the bottom of the 4 o'clock hour for Jayhawk Weekly. Michael Swain, of course, of Fog.net, part of the 24/7 Sports Network. We have Michael's thoughts on the latest Jayhawk happenings as we are now a month and a day away from Jayhawk football and Wildcat football, college football, back a month and a day from today. So Michael Swain going to join us bottom of the 4 o'clock hour. Plus, we'll have all of the typical Tuesday shenanigans here on the program. Random Question Tuesday coming up later on. 2 new stories on what is wrong with you. And, of course, your interaction with the show. The best part, maybe my favorite part. It depends on the interaction, but sometimes it's my favorite part. You can make your voice heard and be a part. You're invited and encouraged to join 580 Sports Talk today. Hit us up on the text line, 785-272-9429. That is 785-272-9429. You can also interact with us if you are on the YouTube stream today, watching on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk. Go check out the YouTube stream if you've never done it. Go subscribe to the YouTube channel if you still haven't done that. And once you're in watching live, there's a chat feature on the web browser or the mobile device or mobile app, and you can interact with your hosts and your fellow listeners as we go along throughout the show for the next 3 hours. So, 580 Sports Talk, once again, the YouTube channel. Looking forward to having our guests on the show later today, but obviously the big news today, the Chiefs are back in St. Joe, and want to do some overreacting? We can do some overreacting to what we learned today from Chiefs camp, which in truth isn't much, right? Like they practiced for just over an hour. We're talking about practice. As Allen Iverson once said, not a game, not a game, not a game. We talking about practice, but it's the first practice. It's the first practice of training camp. So everybody's excited. It's that first day of school kind of feeling. And the things that jumped out, the most notable aspects are always going to be who's running with the ones, who's repping with who, all that sort of depth chart speculating. And to no surprise, or nobody's surprise if you've been paying attention, when the Chiefs lined up their first team offense for the first snap of camp, Josh Simmons was at left tackle and Jalen Moore was at right tackle. Obviously, Jawan Taylor is on the physically unable to perform list, and he's not going to start camp as an active player. The hope is that that won't be a lengthy absence for Taylor and that he'll be able to return to practice very soon. That was at least the impression we got from Andy Reid when he spoke on Sunday evening. But as anticipated, it was Josh Simmons on the left and it was Jalen Moore on the right. Overreaction time. I actually don't think it's an overreaction to say that it's Josh Simmons' job at left tackle to lose. I think I've kind of been saying that ever since it was announced that he was going to be a full go for training camp, that a lot bad would have to happen. He'd have to put a lot of bad tape together for the Chiefs to decide not to go with their 2025 first-round pick. Or he would just have to not be able to physically recover. That'll, I guess, be the biggest test, right? I mean, the injury he's coming off of, the patellar tendon injury, they're going to get him in a game and take some real live fire and then see how it responds. And if his body responds, if he's not dealing with real pain the next day, if his body responds well enough to game action, I don't see anything other than his own performance that would stand between Josh Simmons and being the starting left tackle. So I don't think that's an overreaction. Is it an overreaction to suggest that Jalen Moore is auditioning to take Jawan Taylor's job? I don't think Jawan Taylor has been terrible the last 2 years with the Chiefs. Terrible is a pretty high bar to clear. Terrible is a lot of what we saw from Wanya Morris last year. Terrible is what we saw from the left side of the line in Super Bowl 59. I don't think Jawan Taylor has been that on balance. I think that he has been fine. What if Jalen Moore's better than fine? They got $15 million a year. Obviously, the Chiefs think there's something there. And with the ability they ended up having to draft Josh Simmons where they did, it turns Jalen Moore in from speculative insurance policy at left tackle to probably overqualified and certainly overpaid tackle number 3 on the roster. But what if he's good enough to go win the job from Jawaan Taylor? What if he shows enough in camp? Because he's going to get the reps at right tackle to start camp. And then even when Taylor comes back, they're going to rep more over there. It's not like that's the end of Jalen Moore playing right tackle. That's not how the Chiefs get down. That's not how offensive line coach Andy Heck gets down. What if the opportunity exists for Jalen Moore to go out and show, hey, I might be better than this guy. I might be a little bit more equipped to deal with the speed rush without having to line up borderline illegally every snap. What if? What if there's more chemistry on that right side with him and Trey Smith than there was at times with Jawaan Taylor and Trey Smith? I don't think it's out of the question. I wouldn't call it likely sitting here on July 22nd that anybody other than Jawaan Taylor is going to be the week 1 starter at right guard. But it's day 1 of camp. Let's overreact. Let's say Jalen Moore puts some good reps together, some good practices together, stacks those good days, shows up well in the preseason. Do the Chiefs dare turn over right tackle to a guy that really hasn't played a lot of right tackle in the NFL? Who come up as a left tackle, who apprenticed under Trent Williams in San Francisco at left tackle. What if he's a right tackle? Let's overreact. Let's overreact to what's going on in the secondary, too. Let's overreact to the fact that the starting cornerback group with Christian Fulton out of the picture, also on the PUP list. Trent McDuffie on the outside, Jalen Watson on the outside, Shamari Connor at slot corner. Let's overreact to what this means for 2 different guys. Number 1, Jalen Watson. What if he did rush back last year and he wasn't playing at 100% of his capabilities when he returned from that ankle injury? And what if the Jalen Watson we get in 2025 is the Jalen Watson we got for the first 6 weeks of 2024? Do you know what you have then if you're the Chiefs? Maybe the best cornerback duo in the league? Jalen Watson was playing at that level through the first handful of games last year. He was playing as well as anybody in the league, just at an age where he's starting to come into his own as a player. You know Trent McDuffie's that dude on one side. What if Jalen Watson is also a dude? What if the outside is set and it's those two and it's a no-fly zone? What if it's the best corner duo the Chiefs have had on the outside? I don't necessarily count the McDuffie-Snead year together because McDuffie played a lot more in the slot. He played so much in the slot that year that he was the first-team All-Pro at slot cornerback. So it's not quite apples to apples. But I'm hard-pressed to remember an outside duo with the potential to be as good as McDuffie and Watson in 2025. If Watson's all the way back from injury. If the first 6 weeks last season weren't just a fluke, but who a healthy Jalen Watson is becoming. It's an exciting thought. The other guy we can overreact about, what if it's getting late early for Joshua Williams? Obviously, again, it's day 1, but Williams had more healthy games last year, more of a chance to make an impact, and he did not. We know Noel Williams was a 3rd-round pick. He was drafted higher than Joshua Williams was. We know Christian Fulton's going to get healthy and make the team. We know Steve Spagnuolo loves Najee Johnson. Joshua Williams' is roster spot in some trouble? Could be. It could be. Enough from me, though. What if instead we heard from the sources? What if instead we heard from Big Red? Andy Reid spoke to the media today. It didn't have a ton to say, so it's not a particularly long clip here. But what if we could do some listening to Andy Reid? And let's hear what Andy Reid had to say from training camp earlier. Now, if you'll permit me a moment here, trying to Trying to figure out the best way to do this for you because I want to make sure everybody can, hear it. How about now? Here's Andy Reid.
All right. As far as injuries go, the guys that didn't practice today were Fulton, Taylor, and Watson. So everybody else practiced. The same guys I mentioned yesterday that are on PUP, they didn't practice today. Other than that, it was great to get the guys back out here. Great for our fans to show up, and the numbers that they did always makes things pick up even a little faster than normal. So it's good to have that energy out here. Other than that, I don't have much from yesterday. It was his first day. It was good to see everybody moving around. Time's yours.
Andy, what did you try to get across to the team when you spoke to it yesterday in terms of just sort of a theme or message?
Yeah, main thing is urgency. The urgency, just keep that up. Everybody's expectations are high amongst the team, amongst everybody around. So, but it comes down to the work that you take care of here and the foundation that you build here.
Andy, what did you see from Josh Simmons his first day out there?
Yeah, he did. He did some good things. He worked in there with the ones, and did a nice job. I thought he's got things he's got to work on, but he'll keep doing that.
How did Simmons get through the conditioning and the testing yesterday?
The whole team did really well, so that was a good thing. The league's broken it up now, so the O-line and D-line have one thing, and then the rest of the guys have another thing. So, but they all did well.
Jared Wiley's out there. Looks like he might be a little bit ahead of progress from where you thought he might be at this time.
Yeah, he's worked hard, and it was good to get him back out there, get his timing back. So I thought he did a pretty good job. He had the one drop down here, but other than that, he did a pretty good job out there. Yeah.
What's the plan in terms of when pads are going to come on building up to that?
Yeah, so it's a ramp up. These are ramp up days, which I think are good, for probably everybody, coaches and players. And so it's a gradual ramp up, not only length of practice, but then also starting with our shells on and then working from there. So we've got that's what we're going through now. This is day one.
This may or may not be Kelsey's last training camp, but can you just tell us a little bit about what he's meant to you as a coach and to this organization?
He's phenomenal. He's been great for this organization. Anytime you're with a guy for 13 years, you end up being close to that player. And so I've watched him grow as a player, as a man. And we haven't talked about last year's in that. So, you hope he plays forever, but that's probably not going to happen to any of us. So whenever he decides to hang it up, he's built a great legacy and here. And, if he decides this is it, it's it. If not, more power to him.
So that was Andy Reid from earlier today. Patrick Mahomes also spoke with the media. Gilliland family asked an interesting question, I think, in the YouTube comments. Asked, how long will it take for Mahomes to play with confidence in his tackles, even if they are great? He's a little skittish after a few years of shaky play. I wouldn't call Mahomes skittish necessarily, but I do think that he was frustrated last year by some of the breakdowns from his offensive line. I think that that trust has to develop starting right now. Probably started before that. Probably started in minicamp, OTAs, things like that. And that trust has to be developed over the course of this next month and change because they want to hit the ground running week one. They got no choice but to hit the ground running week one and really the first half of their schedule, which is much more difficult than the second half. That's the best answer I can give you on that one. But thank you for the question. Speaking of Mahomes, let's go ahead and hear what QB1 had to say earlier today. This first question is about Rashee Rice. It's kind of muffled, and apologies for that.
I think he's done a great job. You see the talent, obviously. You see the physical ability, but I think more than that, the way he's worked, I've just got to see him working through the rest of his rehab process and then working on the field. He's done a great job with that, and then learning. He's getting tested every single day with Spags and being able to pick up blitzes and do a lot of different type of stuff, as well as go against some great pass rushers. So I'm excited for the future that he has.
You're a veteran, just as long as it's new here, what kind of communication do you have?
Yeah, a lot. That's why we sit in the film room and we talk through these things. I'm talking to that whole line, and we have to all be on the same page. And I think it's going to help him a lot that Creed's there and Trey and some of these veteran guys that know kind of how I talk and what I mean when I say stuff, as well as just us meeting together and having that communication. And like I say, every training camp, the best test you're going to get is against Spags. So going up against him, seeing those blitzes, communicating, that's going to help us a lot as we get to the season.
How excited were you to see Trey and George sign long-term deals with the Chiefs?
I'm extremely excited. More than the player, the people that they are. I mean, y'all know Trey, y'all know George. Come to work every single day, attack the day, great teammates, great people in the community, and that's what you want on your team. And so we've built a great culture here, and to have guys like that get rewarded for how they play, but also the people that they are, it's a great feeling, and it keeps guys wanting to come out there and being the best every single day.
You guys have said you want to throw the ball downfield. How good does it feel to hit Worthy on the very first play downfield?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's what we got to do. We got to keep doing it, though, and we got great corners, so it's going to be a lot of challenges for us. But even on some of those that we throw incomplete, that we're throwing it down the field, we can talk through those routes and talk through that stuff. And so that's the mindset, is getting back to throwing the ball down the field. And then if we can do that, it'll open up the rest of the offense.
Is there anything, now that you have received for the full training camp meeting, that you want to get out of your two connections, given just how much time he missed last year?
Yeah, I mean, you saw it at the beginning of last year with him being in the full training camp, and another year of us and our communication. And it was going off to a very hot start, but he attacked the rehab process now and has came back ready to go. And so had a good first day today. We'll continue to work, continue to get better and better, and he'll evolve his game to be even better than he was at the beginning of last year.
Just coming back to St. Joe and just getting these guys acclimated, what's the message for you guys, and for all the guys, new guys, and even some of the returners, that just to make sure you're back on the right track?
Yeah, I think it's just every year resets, and we talk about that after we win. We talk about that after we lose. And so it's starting from day one. How can you attack this day to be better than you were the day before? And that's not only on the practice field, that's in the meeting rooms, and that's how you recover and get yourself ready to go. And so we know we have one of the hardest training camps out there, but it's for a reason. And so how can you attack it every day, not have those down days, but have a lot of just building and building. And that'll prepare us for the next day, and it'll prepare us for the end of the season.
Last year went. How do you feel this year? What is this year going to mean to Hollywood Brown, and maybe what he can do for your offense?
Yeah, I mean, you could see at the beginning in training camp last year, and in that first play of preseason, he's going to be someone that's going to make plays for us. And so we'll just continue to evolve. And even though he wasn't playing, he was in those meeting rooms last year, so he has understanding for kind of how we do things. And then at the end of last year, kind of getting thrown in, he made some plays and did some stuff in a very hard situation. And so I'm excited for him. I'm excited for that whole room, man. It's a lot of talented guys, but they all, you can tell, truly care about each other and want each other to succeed. And so they want to go out there and prove themselves as much as I want to go out there and prove myself and the rest of this team. And so I'm excited for that whole group getting to showcase who they can really be.
So that's some of what Patrick Mahomes had to say from St. Joe today. First chance to hear from QB1 as the Chiefs get revved up for the 2025 season. We'll take our first break here on 580 Sports Talk. When we come back, Trey Smith and George Karlaftis also spoke to the media today. We won't play you their full remarks, but a couple of things I thought from both players worth hearing. One very funny, one very serious and emotional. We'll get to that audio here in a little bit. And joining us at the bottom of this hour will be, or just after the bottom of this hour, will be Michael Wilhoite for the Big Kev Giveback Camp coming to the Top City here on Friday, July 25th. Michael Wilhoite will join us in just a little bit. Michael Swain in the 4 o'clock hour. We've got Royals to get to. We got Random Question Tuesday to get to. It's a jam-packed show, and we're really glad you're here on 580 Sports Talk.
This is a special notice to U.S. taxpayers owing $10,000 or more to the IRS. Tax Relief Advocates is urgently notifying taxpayers that tax relief initiatives are now available that may significantly reduce or eliminate what you owe. If you're afraid of an IRS lien, levy, or wage garnishment, don't lose hope. You can now take advantage of these current relief programs to end all collections, reduce the amount you owe, and resolve your tax problem. Even if you have years of unfiled tax returns or are already in a payment plan, you may still qualify for significant relief. Struggling taxpayers can now get relief they need during these hard economic times. A hotline has been established by Tax Relief Advocates for you to call and see what you qualify for. They are A+ rated with the BBB and have over 1,000 5-star reviews. Don't wait. Call 800-575-7147. 800-575-7147. That's 800-575-7147. Or simply visit TRA.com.
Must qualify for enrollment. Results may vary.
This is the sound of someone taking a free test walk in personally fit arch supports at the Good Feet store. Ah, music to our ears. Just like the words of Pam, who decided to give Good Feet arch supports a try with a free fitting and test walk, which she took alongside her husband, Roy.
I basically walk all day in my cowboy boots. The pain from my back was killing me.
It was painful to see Powell hurting like that. We've
3:32 on 580 Sports Talk. We're just underway. Coming up in just a couple of minutes, Michael Wilhoite will join us. Talk about the Big Kev Giveback coming to Topeka on this Friday, July 25th. He and Kyle Weems once again hosting the Big Kev Giveback for young athletes in the area. Did want to share some more audio from Chiefs camp today. I thought both of these clips were really good. First from George Karlaftis. Signed his big contract extension over the weekend. 4 years, $88 million of new money. $22 million a year, carrying him through the 2030 season, covering all of his 20s. It's an awesome deal. I love it for the team. I love it for the player. And George Karlaftis was talking about why he felt comfortable committing his long-term future to the Kansas City Chiefs. And then at the very end, there was an interruption by a new member of the media who happens to wear number 95 for the Kansas City Chiefs. Just listen to the end. This is good.
What do you love about here?
You know, for me, really, it starts with the team. You know, the team, Coach Reed, the guys on the team, the locker room, everything about this organization from the top down, really, just amazing. You know, no place I'd rather be, really. And then the city. You know, my fiance and I have grown to love this place, calling it home now, and yeah, it's awesome.
Your fiance and you brought your dog.
That was a non-negotiable. That was part of the. Yeah, it was awesome. You know, it's just us three right now, a little family. But yeah, it was awesome. You know, we knew we had to put them in the little polo, which is cool. So yeah, I'm happy they were there with me on that big moment.
Chris, Big Money George, man.
No. No, please don't call me that.
So you heard Chris Jones there in the background say, don't call him George anymore. Call him G Money. And Karlaftis, typically humble, says don't call him that. So if you run into George Karlaftis, please do not refer to him as G Money. Trey Smith also got his money, signed his long-term extension a week ago today. And he was asked what that meant to him in the context of the things that he's been through, both his health challenges, the fact that he lost his mother at a young age. It's a very thoughtful question. There is a long pause, and that is not dead air. That is Trey Smith trying to gather himself. A very emotional Trey Smith talking about what this contract extension means to him.
Of your family, obviously, what you guys have been through and what you've been through too. When you got the contract signed, you can tell you're pretty happy about it. What did it all mean for you to, to go back to them and say, "Hey, I made it"?
Yeah, man. My bad. I lost my mom when I was 15, and I made two promises to her I'll get my degree, play in NFL. I didn't promise her I'd be the highest paid. But, I made a promise, man. And my parents sacrificed so much for me to be here. So much. And to have that moment with them, it's special, bro. It's special. And it's something I won't take for granted, man.
That was Trey Smith. You could hear him trying to hold back the tears as he talked about just what it has meant for him to reach this point. And he said, I never promised my mother I'd be the highest paid player at my position in the NFL. It's never about that. It's obviously nice, and everybody's excited, like league-wide, roster-wide. Everybody's excited when someone else gets paid because of the understanding of how life-changing that is. But it was never about that at the end of the day for Trey Smith. Making it was the promise. Just being there on the NFL field was the promise. And, both of my parents are still with me, thank God, and I'm grateful for that. And I can only imagine what it must have been like for Trey to lose a parent at such a young age. But I can't imagine that ever goes away. And I can't imagine that desire to live up to that promise has ever gone away for him. And I just think he's one of the easiest guys to root for, not just on the Chiefs, but in the entire NFL. I'm a huge Trey Smith fan. And you could hear in his voice just how much that contract and this opportunity means to him. We'll take a time out here on 580 Sports Talk. Michael Wilhoite joins us next on 580 WIBW. Welcome back into 580 Sports Talk. Dan Lucero with you. It's 3:42 on this Tuesday afternoon. The Big Kev Giveback returning to the capital city on July 25th. And that is the brainchild of two of Topeka's finest, Michael Wilhoite and Kyle Weems. I believe, have both of them on the line here. I'm going to go ahead and assume that we do. Michael Wilhoite joins us first. I know we've got Michael on the line. And Michael, got to ask you, while I make sure that we've got Kyle on the line as well. Michael, how are you? How have you been? How's the family doing?
Doing well. It's good to be back home in Kansas. We've been here for a couple of days. We did Kansas City, then we came down here, so we got to spend time with Kyle and his family, and getting to spend time with some more family down here in Manhattan, actually. So it's been good. We've been good. Family's been good. It's a nice, easy drive from Denver, so no complaints.
Yeah, it is. I'm from Denver. I've made that drive many times. Pretty straight shot there from just on I-70. I always joke, you on I-70, and then I turn left, and I'm home in south of Denver. So great to have you aboard, Michael. Kyle Weems, I believe we also have on the line as well, another Highland Park Scot all-timer. Kyle, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Thanks for having me.
Hey, always a pleasure, Kyle. How have you been? What is new in your life, and how excited are you to be back in the capital city here?
I've been good. My family is good. My kids are keeping us busy. To go along a little bit with what Mike said, just been enjoying my time here in Kansas. We returned back from Italy on Memorial Weekend, so just been enjoying friends and family, and like Mike said, enjoyed them staying down here at our house in Kansas City, and just laughs, jokes, watching the kids play. It's been a blessing. So things are great my way.
So, Kyle, this is your brainchild and Michael's brainchild, and something that you guys have put together in the is this the fourth year? Do I have that right, of the Big Kev Giveback?
Yes, sir. The fourth year.
Fourth year. Has it grown in a way that you kind of envisioned? Is it starting to become, or has it kind of always been sort of the way that you envisioned it would be when you first conceived of the idea of giving back to your hometown?
Yeah, I think at the level we're at right now, honestly, I would be honest and say I'm a little surprised. Just the amount of support that we've had from our community, from past teachers and past administrators, past coaches, former teammates, just the love and support from everyone over the last 3 years. And we're going to have the same support, if not even more. I think I was on the phone with Mike earlier, and I think we're at close to 60 volunteers for this year, which is incredible, between just general volunteers and also the coaches that we have coming out. So it's been a real blessing. We just recently started our foundation called the Community Unite Foundation. So we are an official entity, 501c3 nonprofit. So we're super excited about that. And we just been hitting the ground running with kind of some funding and reaching out to different people and different corporations and companies, trying to get this thing rolling as much as possible to, create a bunch of different community involvement projects and events that we hope to bring to Topeka in our area in the coming years. So it's been great.
Michael Wilhoite and Kyle Weems both joining us on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits Hotline. The Big Kev Giveback coming on Friday, July 25th. bkgiveback.com is the website to learn more. I want to ask you both this question, but Michael, I'll direct it your way first. Obviously, you and Kyle, you have this connection to Topeka that makes it important that you do it for your hometown, for your home community, for kids who are growing up in the same space that you were growing up in. But when you ask people that you've encountered to be a part of this, people who maybe don't have that connection to Topeka or Washburn or even the state of Kansas, what's the kind of response that you get? What's been some of the coolest interactions that you've been able to have with people that you've been able to get involved in this?
Well, I'll use a quick example. Last year, the defensive back, currently the cornerback coach for Denver Broncos, just volunteered. I told him about the camp. He said, "Oh man, I want to do that." So he decided to drive
all the way down to the camp the morning before that morning. So pretty much through the night, did the camp, and then drove back right after the camp. So it just goes to show you that plenty of people outside are interested. They want to help. I think what people feel is the genuineness of Kyle and I, the people around Kyle and I. And I think everybody just wants to be involved in something that's positive for the youth. And so we've gotten really good reviews of people that, hey, you're doing a great thing, and how can I be involved? And I think that's what's making it grow, and that's what's going to continue to make it grow.
Kyle, same question to you. When you ask people that you have encountered across your basketball life and your journeys to be a part of something like this, I know that's probably something you don't do lightly. You don't, maybe approach just anybody to do this, but what's the kind of response that you get, and how neat is it to have that opportunity to share a little bit of yourself and your story and your community with the people that you have encountered in your time in your basketball life?
Well, yeah, just to piggyback on what Mike said, the way we started off with this, I can admit I was a little bit nervous, because you want to make sure that you're doing the right things and you're organized and all that. And to see the growth from the first year until now it's been phenomenal. And to also piggyback on what Mike said, the amount of people that are coming out to us and reaching out to us, just wanting to help in any way. It's been really great. It's been a blessing. And, it's just, I think it shows a little bit of the things that Mike and I have been able to do over the course of these last 20 years or so since we've left Highland Park. But I think we also need to give credit to the people that helped us get there. And that's kind of always been our vision, is to go back and let these kids see us physically, not just, throw money their way or, set stuff up and set an event or a camp up and not physically be there, but physically being there has been great. Again, the amount of support and people that are reaching out to us, I mean, all the way back in, for me, December and January, February on, hey, when's that camp day going to be? I want to be a part. Just let me know anything that I can do. And so just truly, truly grateful for that. And, we're looking forward to even bigger and better things on these future projects.
Michael Wilhoite and Kyle Weems are our guests here on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits Hotline. The Big Kev Giveback Sports Camp taking place this Friday out at Washburn University, the indoor facility, the Rec and Wellness Center. It's a day-long camp for grades 3rd through 8th. And you can sign up at the website, bkgiveback.com. Michael, walk us through what a day for the campers is going to look like, a day for those kids, what kind of instruction they're going to be giving, and the idea that they don't have to necessarily be expert level football or basketball players or just pick one or the other to participate in. They're going to get a day full of dual sport experience and instruction coming up on Friday.
Yeah, I think most of all what they're going to get is love, organization, and education. And I think that's in both sports. To look at the broad picture, you would say breakfast, you would say 2 hours of football and basketball, lunch, getting an opportunity to hang, talk, and be around the coaches. And I think within that camp, what you really get is detail. And that's what we want to give these kids is, along with the education, is detail of the game. And one thing we've really tried to do is get as many coaches, qualified coaches that we know, people that mentored us and raised us, people that coached us, and then people that peers around us that we still learn from. And we spent as much time as we could trying to get those people involved in the camp, because we don't want one kid or one coach with 10 kids. We want 3 coaches with 10 kids. So now they get more individual attention and they get more detail instead of, hey, here's a drill, go do what you can. And so I think what we really want to give, along with education, detail, is love. And we just want to be there around the kids, help direct the kids in any way we can, and show them love, but and at the same time show them detail and show them the game the way it should be played, and that's both of them, basketball and football.
And Kyle, you were mentioning earlier that you've got some new opportunities as the camp has grown, and opportunities to grow the camp itself, and also opportunities for people who maybe don't have a 3rd or through 8th grader to send to the camp, but believe in your mission, believe in what you're doing for Topeka, and want to maybe donate and help to grow the camp from that side of things.
Yeah, and that's been extremely an extreme blessing in itself, just seeing the amount of donations that we have received up until this point, like you said, with kids that won't be even attending the camp. It's extremely humbling. But to also go along with what Mike said, just focusing in on, those fundamentals, I think is very important. A lot of, and enjoying the process of learning the game or learning new things. I think our kids these days are kind of getting away from that. Everybody on the basketball end, they want to jump right into shooting James Harden step backs. On the football end, they want to run routes like Jeremiah Smith. And it takes a village to help you get to that level. And we just want to be one piece of that village along their way, and let them know, like, don't get fed up and bored with the fundamentals. This is during Mike's time playing. I'm sure he can attest to this. He was still doing fundamental things that, in year 5 in the NFL that he was doing back in his early days in Manhattan. And I can attest to this too, because I'm still playing. I still do the basic fundamentals. So that's kind of one of the things that we want to, harp on to go along with those fine details. We're excited, but the community, what they have done for us, donating, is just been an extreme blessing. And we're excited about where the future is going. Some of the events that we want to have is a backpack drive, hopefully at the end of summer 2026. And also potentially a golf tournament where all the proceeds from that golf tournament would go towards our foundation for even more future events. So it's just really, it's been great to kind of, put our heads together and kind of bounce ideas off, and being able to kind of execute it slowly but surely, and do this thing the right way.
The website is bkgiveback.com. It is not too late to get your child signed up to be a part of the Big Kev Give Back Camp. It is coming up on Friday. You can go sign up at the website. You can also donate at the website if you are so inclined, bkgiveback.com. Michael Wilhoite, Kyle Weems, Highland Park Scots, and the pride of this city. I'll tell you, as a transplant to Topeka, one thing I love about this city is how proud they are of their own, and how proud their own are of this city. And you guys are shining examples of that. So it's always a joy to talk to you and to get to promote this great event. Thanks so much for your time, and may the Big Kev Give Back be a massive success here again in 2025. Thanks again, guys.
Thank you for having us.
Hey, our pleasure. That is Michael Wilhoite and Kyle Weems. We'll take a quick break, come back, and we will wrap up this 3 o'clock hour, 580 Sports Talk. Our thanks again to Michael Wilhoite and Kyle Weems for taking some time to promote the Big Kev Give Back Camp. Once again, it is bkgiveback.com. That's the name of the website. You can still go and get your camper signed up for Friday's Big Kev Giveback Camp here at Washburn University in Topeka, bkgiveback.com. Such a great thing that those two men do for their hometown to show love back to the place that raised them. And I'm absolutely sincere. Somebody who moved here in 2016. I now have a son who's always going to be a Topeka native. I love how proud this city is of their own, and I love how proud this city's own are of it. It's one of the best things about being here. So, bkgiveback.com. Royals Talk. What is wrong with you and Michael Swain? The next hour, 580 Sports Talk. Let's get it. Hour number 2 of 580 Sports Talk on this Tuesday afternoon. Thank you so much for being with us on the Sports Voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com, and on our live video channels. Check us out on YouTube, 580 Sports Talk, and on Facebook at WIBW News. Dan Lucero, Spencer Dupuis, hanging out with you for the next 2 hours. Plus, we'll have a little overtime today ahead of Royals baseball, just like we did yesterday. Game 2 of the series between the Royals and the Cubs at Wrigley Field. A matchup of two left-handers with a combined age of 79 years old. I love this game. Rich Hill, Matthew Boyd on the hill. That is the pitching matchup. Rich Hill making his Royals debut tonight. I've not seen the corresponding roster move. Spencer, are you more tied in than me on this?
Yeah, it's on. It's been on Royals Twitter, I guess, or Royals X. They have designated Tyler Gentry for assignment and sent down Hoffman.
Okay. I figured Hoffman would be the guy they sent down, especially after he pitched the 2 innings last night. And it doesn't always work out like this, but it is cool that it did work out like this, that Hoffman got to pitch. He had a ton of family there last night. I don't know if you saw this. He's from Joliet.
Yeah, they were doing a whole thing on it on the game.
One of the Quad Cities. So he had a ton of family there, and they got to see him pitch. And it was it's been a bumpy introduction to the big leagues for Andrew Hoffman, to say the least, but 2 shutout innings last night in relief, and he got to do that in front of a lot of friends and family. Then they got to come down on the field and see him after the game. So that was really, really cool. I thought that was really neat. So again, doesn't always work out like that, but it was nice that it did. So Tyler Gentry is the one that they DFA'd. I had missed that move. That must have happened while we were doing Chiefs Talk, top of the hour. Don't think that's a devastating loss to the Royals 40-man roster.
I could see how you could miss it because it literally came down right as you were walking to the studio to get on the air today.
That would be exactly how it would happen.
They posted it right at 3:00.
Yeah. Well, while I'm doing this, when I'm not behind the board and you're behind the board and I'm just behind a microphone, it's a little easier for me to keep one eye on social, see stuff like that. But yeah, when you're running the board, you can miss some stuff. For sure. And I don't need to tell you that. So, so it is Rich Hill added to the 40-man. He'll pitch tonight. Tyler Gentry DFA'd. Andrew Hoffman option down. Hoffman ate those 2 innings last night. Keep the bullpen powder dry, essentially. It was Schreiber's the only, important guy who went last night. So they should be able to line some guys up behind Rich Hill if he's 5 and fly. And I think the Royals would be thrilled if it's 5 quality innings. They'd be thrilled with 5 and fly from Rich Hill tonight. That game coming up at 7:05 tonight. That is the scheduled first pitch, which means pregame coverage is set for 6:30, which means we'll have some 580 Sports Talk overtime until the bottom of the 6 o'clock hour. And then we will bring you Royals baseball. We're going to talk some Royals baseball this hour of the show. Also, it's a Tuesday. That means we're talking Jayhawks. Jayhawk Weekly with Michael Swain of Fog.net coming at the bottom of this 4 o'clock hour. Michael is back from his Italian honeymoon with his new wife, and he's ready to rock and roll and get back in the saddle with us. I'm sure as he was enjoying Italy and enjoying Italian food, the only thing on his mind the entire trip was, I cannot wait to get back stateside so I can get back on the show with Dan and Spencer on 580 Sports Talk. I'm sure that was the primary thought on Michael Swain's mind. But
he did yesterday. I think it was Sunday. I don't know if he was back in time or not, but Bill Self had a summer media availability.
He did
on Sunday.
Monday. It was Monday morning. Yeah. I think he was. I think he was back for that. So we'll ask him what Bill Self had to say, talk a little football, talk some Jayhawks with Michael Swain, bottom of the hour. We got What Is Wrong With You coming as well. Do want to remind folks again, want to thank again Michael Wilhoite and Kyle Weems for joining me in the 3 o'clock hour today. The Big Kev Giveback Camp, year number 4 here in the capital city. It is Friday at Washburn University, the indoor facility in the rec center. And you can still go get your youth signed up for the camp. I don't think I'm eligible. I'm outside of the age range, 3rd through 8th grade. I cannot go get some game from Michael and Kyle and their all-star team of instructors. But if you have a kid in the 3rd through the 8th grade, go get them signed up. Go to the website, bkgiveback.com. And if you don't have a 3rd through 8th grader, but you believe in their mission to give back to their hometown of Topeka through sports and sports education, you can also donate at bkgiveback.com. Very, very cool of Michael and Kyle to do what they do and also to take the time to talk about it here on 580 Sports Talk. But let's get into some baseball, shall we? Last night was fun. Royals 12, Cubs 4. It was a not very fun first 2 innings of baseball. Noah Cameron not great with the changeup early on and gave up a pair of home runs in the second inning that had the Royals behind the 8 ball, but they clawed their way back. They got a pair and a Salvador Perez home run in the 4th and then hung a 4 spot in the 5th to take the lead for good, thanks in part to the Cubs making a total mess of the sport of baseball. You would yell at your U12 Little League team if they played the kind of defense that the Cubs were playing in that 5th inning. You had some infield hits. You had an error on a stolen base that allowed a run to score. You had a wild pitch that allowed another run to score. It was subpar defense. And it goes to show you, because the Cubs, like, again, objectively good, though no longer owners of the best record in either the National League or all of baseball, that distinction now belongs to the Milwaukee Brewers, which we definitely all saw coming 100 games into this season when we convened back in late March to do preseason predictions. But it just goes to show you, even over the course of 162 games, even really, really good teams will have an inning where they just kick the ball all over the place. And the Royals were in position to benefit. They took a 7-4 lead in the 5th, and they kept piling on. John Rave, a solo shot in the 7th, and then the Royals would tack on 4 more runs in the 8th. Salvi would homer again. John Rave would drive in another run, as would Bobby Witt Jr. 12-4 the final. And there's lots of good stuff, as you'd imagine, to talk about from last night. I'll start with Noah Cameron. I'm going to start with the pitcher. Of course I am. That might have been, all things considered, the most impressed I've been with a Noah Cameron start this season. And I know you're thinking, well, guy, he gave up 4 runs and 2 home runs. What are you talking about? Well, you look at his game log this year, and he has pitched really well against, let's be honest, some subpar competition at times this year. His best outings this year, 6 1/3 shutout innings in his first debut. That's against the Rays. Not a great offense. 6 2/3 innings, a 1-run ball against Minnesota. 6 1/3 inning, a 1-run ball against St. Louis. 6 1/3 1-run ball against Cincinnati. 500-ish teams, right? 6 innings, a shutout ball against St. Louis on the road. 5 innings, a shutout ball against the A's, who stink. 4 2/3 of shutout ball against Seattle. Not a great offense. 6 2/3 shutout innings against the Mets, who are a good team, but were certainly scuffling offensively when they came to the K. I don't mean to downgrade every one of Noah Cameron's good starts. He's capable of getting good hitters out, but in the 2 duds that we've seen Noah Cameron have, we've seen 2 bad starts from Noah Cameron, and they were against the Yankees and the Dodgers, and the wheels fell off, and he never really put the wheels back on in those starts that came back in June. Last night, he gives up the home run to Carson Kelly to lead off the second. Then he gives up the 3-run homer to Matt Shaw. There's 2 out, nobody on, or 2 out, 1 on with 8 and 9 coming up. And boy, there was some egg on my face after I said, yeah, 8-9. That's the weak part of this Cubs order. Justin Turner's washed, and Matt Shaw's okay. And then Turner doubles and Shaw homers, and it's 4-1 just like that. That really could have gotten topsy-turvy on Noah Cameron. And then he was just lights out after that. Didn't walk a batter, struck out 7. Again, that's the other thing that I love with Noah Cameron right now. If you go back to the A's start on June 15th, in his last 7 starts, he's striking out over a batter per night. 40 strikeouts in 38 2/3 innings, and he's only walked 11 in that time frame. That is plus command. That is plus ability to miss bats. 7 strikeouts last night, though. Got to put an asterisk by one of them. Did you see Seiya Suzuki strike out early in this game? Believe it was the first inning.
Yes, that is so much bad luck.
So, for those who weren't watching the game, Seiya Suzuki took a big rip at the 3-1 pitch from Cameron. This was the first inning, and he fouled the ball off of the dirt, and it hopped up, and it hit him in the beans. Okay, it hit him in a sensitive area. It looks like Suzuki wears a protective cup.
Yeah,
which I don't know if people know how exceedingly rare that is for major league players.
Oh, yeah.
Particularly non-catchers. Like, dudes just don't wear cups like that. Like, it's not like when you're 10 and
it's not like
they you can't play if you're not wearing one.
Required.
You would
part
be
of the sport.
You would be stunned. As few players as you think wear cups. It's less than that. I promise you. Whatever number you think it is, it's less than that. Anyway, looks like Seiya Suzuki was protected, but still, getting hit in the beans is getting hit in the beans. And so he's hopping around a little bit, like he's trying so hard to take it like a G, right? He's trying so hard to say, that didn't hurt. That ain't no thing. Or however you say that in his native tongue. But he didn't get back in the box in time. And it was a pitch. He didn't call timeout, so it was a pitch clock violation. The umpire rung him up. Strike 3. It was the funniest thing I've seen. One of the funniest things I've seen all season. You get rung up because you can't compose yourself. You got hit in the ding dong, fouling a pitch off of yourself, and that's how you get out. Talk about insult to injury. Anyway, put an asterisk by that strikeout if you must. But 7 strikeouts in 6 innings for Noah Cameron, and he got back on the horse. That game, that outing could have gotten away from him. First game of a series. You had to lean on the bullpen pretty heavily over the weekend. You might have to lean on it tonight if Rich Hill can't give you a little bit of length. They needed length from Noah Cameron. He had to go out there and give them something, and he gave them excellent pitching from the second inning onward and earned his 4th win of the season as a result. He's not going to win American League Rookie of the Year. I think that's Jacob Wilson's award to lose. The catcher for Boston, Narvaez, has been really good.
Yeah.
He's not going to win American League Rookie of the Year. We were talking about this in the YouTube chat yesterday.
He should, though.
I don't know that he should, but I definitely think he needs to be in the conversation nationally more than he is. That's what I can't figure. Why more people aren't talking about Noah Cameron as a guy who should be a factor in the Rookie of the Year race. I saw like a graphic coming out of the All-Star game. I think it was from MLB.com. And it was like top 5 in the American League Rookie of the Year race, rookie power rankings in the American League. And Noah Cameron couldn't even get on the graphic. He's got an ERA in the mid-2s, 13 starts in.
Yeah. And I mean, he gave up 4 runs in an inning, and it barely did anything to his ERA.
Yeah, his ERA only hopped up like 0.3.
Yeah,
in the for the season, based on that outing. So really good stuff, really impressive from Noah Cameron. That's the kind of stuff that really makes you believe that he's more than just back of the rotation filler. That he's a guy that you're going to be able to count on that can give you some mid-rotation quality work moving forward. And what a boon that is to the Royals to have a guy like that essentially locked in for the next 6 seasons at pre-arb and then arbitration prices.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's huge because he's a guy that had no expectations, right? He's a guy that's coming up. He's not one of your top prospects. He's a guy that's worked his way through the system.
He was one of the Royals' top prospects.
I mean,
but
yes,
he wasn't
but
one
not,
of baseball's top prospects. I certainly don't think.
You know where I'm going with this, though.
I certainly don't think that the Royals expected that he would come up and be this.
Yeah, and I think it's incredibly special because he's a hometown kid.
Right.
Like, there's a story I heard somewhere where I think it was last year, the year before, during the offseason, he would go to the stadium and pitch during the winter, and somebody had to ask him who he was because nobody knew why there was just this guy driving in, because most players live in Florida or in Texas or Arizona during those times, like a lot of players do. They're not coming into Kauffman Stadium during the offseason. They're training somewhere else.
So great outing for Noah Cameron. The other thing that stands out from last night is the Royals hit 4 home runs. They have 23 home runs in their last 13 games as a team.
How many of those have come from Salvador Perez?
Is
it 8?
Off the top of my head, I don't know the number that he's hit. I can check the game logs, but over the last 13 games, yeah, it's 8. It's 8 home runs. Yeah. So obviously he's crushing the ball.
Yeah.
And his OPS on the season has gone up 100 points in July. Just since the start of July, his OPS is up from 656 to 755. That's how hot Salvador Perez has been. 23 home runs in 13 games. In the previous 27 games, that's a month's worth of games, the Royals had hit 22 home runs.
Wow.
And it's not, I mean, it's mostly Salvador Perez. A third of those home runs in the last 13 games are Sal, but it's not just Sal. It's John Rave. It's Jack Caglione, both of who homered last night. And the bar is really low for the bottom 4 in the Royals lineup to outproduce what they produced in the first half of the season. The bar couldn't be lower. Last night, everybody was really good. Cags homered and walked and scored twice. Lofton had 2 hits. Rave 2 for 3 with 3 runs scored and a home run. And Kyle Isbell threw out 3 hits last night as well. They were actually better on balance than the top 4 in the Royals order. The bottom 4 were quite good last night. They don't all need to hit like prime George Brett for the Royals to see improvement on offense. They just got to get something from somebody on a given night, whether that's Cags going deep, whether that's Rave with a couple of runs driven in, with Lofton. One of them have a day, do something, contribute to the offensive effort in a positive way. And that's going to go so far in helping this team play better and this lineup produce more. John Rave in the month of July is slugging .529, getting on base at a .333 clip. And what I think is interesting is, and what I think is a sign of real improvement happening here, he had 39 plate appearances in the month of June. He struck out in 12 of them. That's all. It's about 30%, give or take, of his plate appearances, and he only walked 4 times. 39 plate appearances so far in July. So the same number of plate appearances. He's walked 5 times. He's only struck out 5 times. I think he's starting to see it better, starting to get his bat to it, starting to make the kind of loud contact that got him this call-up. Now, I don't think he's going to, hit 3 home runs in a week every week, but showing a little bit of that real power, showing some speed. He's got 5 stolen bases. John Rave making the most of the opportunity that he has right now. Which
I think it was special, too, last night for him because he is from the Chicago area.
Yeah, another local guy. We talked about Hoffman, but Rave's another guy from.
He had 50 friends and family in the ballpark last night.
He's from not the Chicago area. He's from Bloomington Normal, but which is a little further south and central. If Brendan were in studio, he'd give us the geography. But shout out to Normal, Illinois State. He's a Redbird.
Hey, did you see the Royals made a trade today?
No, I did not. We can get to that later on. Because I want to talk about Caglione too. I mentioned Rave producing, making the most of his opportunity. We know Cags he's in the lineup for better or for worse. It's going to be Jack Caglione in right field every day. I think the at-bats have looked better since the All-Star break. He's got a hit in all 3 games he's played since the break. He had that double to left center against Miami on Sunday. He homered to left center yesterday, a line shot that snuck over the basket, and that schlubby dude tried to go over the fence to get. What? Dude, you want the ball so bad, you're just going to throw it back. Why do you want the ball so bad?
Yeah, that's what I did not understand about that. Like he literally fell into the netting, and then he was like, you know what, I'm going to get this ball and throw it back.
So I like what I'm seeing from Cags at bats, a little bit more patience. Drew the walk last night, I mentioned, so he was on base twice in 5 trips. Obviously, he's going to continue to get opportunities. Nick Lofton has had some games where he's performed well. Isbell's the 9-hole hitter. Whatever you get from your 9-hole hitter, I don't care what lineup you have. Whatever you get from your 9 holes, gravy. So it just has to be one of those guys a night to have a decent game, to get a hit with a runner in scoring position, to drive in a couple of runs. It just needs to be somebody. And if it's somebody and the pitching continues on the path that it's been on, the Royals are going to put themselves in position to win a lot more games in this second half. There is, of course, a lot of trade speculation, continued rumors that the Cubs are interested in Seth Lugo. They're going to get an up-close look at Lugo when he pitches tomorrow.
Well, what I saw is that they actually were trying to talk to them about Bubic, and they were like, we'll go Lugo.
John Morosi, I think, it may have been Morosi's post on X that you saw, that the Royals have taken some calls on Bubic. There's some interest in him, but they're not inclined to move him. And
No.
I think if you're the Royals, you shouldn't. If the idea is we want to compete in 2026, you want to hang on to Chris Bubic and maybe see if you can't do a contract extension, maybe buy out a couple of his arbitration years he has left, and then maybe get a year or two of free agency from him. I don't think that's I don't think that's something that the Royals would realistically consider.
Yeah.
Maybe there's a Godfather offer out there, but I don't think Chris Bubic is going anywhere. Seth Lugo's obviously a lot likelier. Buster Olney had this in his ESPN notes column today. The Royals could want to market Lugo as more than a mere rental. Other teams figure he'll go into free agency in the fall when he turns down his option. The other option the Royals do have, if they were to keep Seth Lugo, and again, I'm not endorsing this path of action. I think they should trade him. But if they kept Seth Lugo and he declines his $15 million player option, and again, the anticipation is that he will, the Royals can make him a qualifying offer, which is a 1 year. I think the qualifying offer was at $18 million last year.
That sounds kind of right.
Let me see. MLB QO 2024. The qualifying offer last year was actually $21 million. So you can offer a player qualifying offer, and it would be likely that Lugo would turn it down even at good money, maybe more money than he would get average annual value in exchange for getting like a 3-year deal worth, 18, 19, 20 million for somebody. So the Royals could always offer Lugo the qualifying offer, and if he doesn't accept and sign somewhere else, they would get a compensation draft pick in return. So the Royals don't have to lose Seth Lugo for nothing, even if they don't trade him at the deadline, which again, I think they will, or I guess I shouldn't say I think they will. I just leave it at I think they should. But that would be the path to getting something in return for him. Or they could just do 3 for $60 and see if he takes it. Why not? They got the money.
Yeah.
Josh Sherman's got the money. If they want to re-sign Seth Lugo after this year, do it. They did it with Michael Wacha. We thought Wacha was going to walk, and he didn't. And the Royals are happy to have him. So I think there's a lot of you can make a lot of assumptions. You can get caught up in assumptions, but there's still a path to Seth Lugo even wearing a Royals uniform in 2025. But that's, again, we'll get deeper into that as we get closer to the trade deadline. We'll take a timeout here on 580 Sports Talk. Michael Swain's coming up in a bit. But first, another round of What Is Wrong With You on 580 WIBW. What is wrong with you on 580 Sports Talk? Sponsored by our guy, Mo, State Farm Agent Ryan, Mo Winkle. Give him a call at 785-273-1572. Should you wind up on the wrong side of somebody else's What is Wrong with You story, 785-273-1572. Our current weekly champion, dude, where's our fire truck? Guy in Everett, Washington stole a fire engine and wrecked a whole bunch of cars, disabling the fire engine, and then ran off, and they can't find him. There was
on the loose.
Man, the thief is on the loose. And, they left a fire truck just kind of idling outside an apartment complex, dealing with a medical situation, and the firefighters came back, and the fire truck was gone.
Which is a normal thing.
Yeah, no, I understand it to be a normal thing. Getting it stolen is not a normal thing.
Nope.
That's why it's a What is Wrong with You. You've got your story first today, Spencer. Go ahead.
All right, we're going to Fort Myers, Florida. A Florida man's attempt to get buff ended with him behind bars when deputies say he ran through the gym in the buff and tried to hide in the tanning bed at closing time.
Okay.
According to Lee County Sheriff's Office, Henry Anton.
I'll go with Antonez Alvarado.
Yes, Alvarado, 25, began acting erratically after staff at the Planet Fitness asked him to leave because guess what? It was time to close.
I didn't know Planet Fitness closed.
Some do.
Okay.
I guess, maybe in certain areas. I don't know. Staff called authorities and said he removed his clothing and were running around through the gym. Investigators said he crawled into the ceiling, knocked down several tiles throughout the building, and tried to start a fire in the bathroom. Surveillance footage shows him sprinting through the building unclothed, entering multiple rooms, even laying down completely naked on a hydro massage bed. Deputies found him hiding inside a tanning bed and arrested him. He was charged with indecent exposure, arson, criminal mischief, and providing false information to law enforcement. He is also, guess what? He's a rap sheet. He was convicted in 2023 for attempted burglary, trespassing, and loitering/prowling. So
did not want to leave. He had another set he wanted to get through, clearly.
So much so he threatened to burn the place down.
It's a little extreme.
Yeah.
A little extreme. My story takes us to Belleville, Illinois, where McDonald's manager and a teen employee's mother are both facing felony charges after a Wednesday dispute led to a shooting inside the McDonald's. Manager Kathy Bledsoe, 44, was charged with aggravated unlawful use of a weapon, and Tynika McKenzie, 35, was charged with aggravated battery and mob action. According to police, Bledsoe told a teenage employee to clock out and go home after the girl refused to take out the trash. The girl told her mother, McKenzie, who then came back to the restaurant with another teen girl to confront Bledsoe. A verbal disturbance ensued in the library. Yeah, it's the McDonald's library, that famous place. The lobby. And then McKenzie and her daughter went behind the front counter and walked to the office area. McKenzie hit Bledsoe in the face and head. Bledsoe then pulled out a gun and shot McKenzie in the leg. Bledsoe was taken into custody at the restaurant. McKenzie was taken to a hospital for treatment. So she said clock out, and then she got a Glock out. I don't know if it was actually a Glock. It rhymes, okay? You should follow me on this. So that's what we've got today. Who wins? We got the McDonald's manager saying this might not be Burger King, but I'm about to have it my way with this gun. Or go with the guy hiding in the tanning bed. These are two good stories.
I think pulling a gun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ty goes to trigger play on a story like this. Does that beat the stolen fire engine?
I don't think so. I think that one is going to stay.
Much as I love my clock out, block out joke, I do think the guy stole a fire truck and got away with it. And
he's still on the run.
Did a lot of property damage. Yeah, that's going to continue on. Dude, Where's Our Fire Truck remains our champions. Brought to you by State Farm Agent Ryan Mo Winkle. If somebody plows into your car while it's parked with a stolen fire truck, you might want to give Mo a call. 785-273-1572. Michael Swain joins us next for Jayhawk Weekly on 580 Sports Talk. are joined on the Playing Place Wine and Spirits hotline by Michael Swain of Fog.net, part of the 24/7 Sports Network. Great time to become a subscriber with football season right around the corner and get access to all of Michael's VIP info about the Jayhawks. He joins us every Tuesday at this time for Jayhawk Weekly. Michael, welcome back to the program. Welcome back from your honeymoon. Did you have a great time?
Yeah, we did. It was so fun. And I think, honestly, one of the first times in several years that I've gone multiple days without writing something or checking a message board. So that part of it was very enjoyable. So overall, it's great to get to explore. We were on the Amalfi Coast for a while, so we had so much fun, and it's been a little different, I think, being back and just being a very different, I think, lifestyle now.
My on my honeymoon, I think I sent one tweet for like the 5 days my wife and I were in Puerto Vallarta. I think I sent one tweet. So I know what you mean. Setting the phone down. It's hard. Your forearms start to itch a little bit, I'm sure. But I'm sure you're glad to be back. And obviously there is plenty to get to as we're a month and a day away from the start of football season. We'll get there, but I want to talk hoops first because Bill Self spoke with the media earlier this week. I want to ask you about two guys who have a chance to play a role for this Kansas team who are both coming off of injury. Bryson Tiller, Elmarko Jackson. Sounds like Elmarko's been all the way cleared off of that terrible injury he had last year. What is the anticipation for both of those guys? Jackson obviously has experience but didn't play last year. Tiller, an incoming freshman. What is the anticipation for their readiness for a season and their need to contribute? How much does Kansas need those guys to be 100% day one?
Yeah, I think KU very much needs Elmarko Jackson to improve off what he showed as a freshman. One of the positive things Bill Self said about Elmarko is that athletically, like, he's back to where he was pre-injury. And that is a positive thing. I don't think you could ever expect anyone to reach 100% what they were pre-torn patellar tendon. Like, it's a huge injury in your knee and one that has ended basketball careers before. But the fact that he still has some of that athleticism, I think, is a huge deal for KU. And now it's just getting back in the flow of playing. If you go back and look back at his freshman year, I don't think he processed things super fast, right? That sometimes the game looked a little fast for him. Decision-making was maybe a half step slow. And that's something that Bill Self said is still kind of coming along for him. And it's something that, I talked to him in Providence at the NCAA tournament for a little one-on-one. And he had mentioned that he was really trying to focus on ball screens, pick and roll, making the right decisions. And I think as a result, you spend so much time thinking about that and really trying to learn that when it gets time to actually go and put it to use, like, it makes sense that he might be thinking a little too much. And so I think his play speed will need to pick up, but he's going to play a big role this year. KU needs him to play well because, look, Darren Peterson's going to be KU's lead guard and Melvin Council can play some point guard, but KU needs another guy off the bench who can come into the game and control the pace of play. So Elmarko, big season for him. As for Bryson Tiller, he's in a similar situation. He hasn't played basketball in over a year. He's finally cleared at the start of this month to get back and doing 5-on-5 stuff. He's someone that Bill Self, I think, is relatively high on, skilled basketball player, is just now going to need to adapt to the college game. And we've seen with big men, right, that can take some time. And even though he was around the team a little bit last year, from January through the end of the season, he still is a guy that's going to need to acclimate to playing against Floyd Bedung every day in practice. And that's just going to take time. So I think both those guys, Elmarko more so is going to have a bigger role. I think Bryson Tiller, he could end up being KU's backup 4 and a third guy at the 5 KU can play with. He could also end up being kind of behind Simi's Calderon and behind Paul Mbia, and he could end up being a guy that maybe doesn't play a whole lot of freshmen. So very interesting. I think two guys that, you need as much depth as possible. And I think they're two guys that for different reasons are going to be having an important journey to track leading into the season.
Speaking of depth, Bill Self did also mention when he spoke to the media on Monday that there's still a possibility that they might add to the roster. They still have a roster spot available, and he talked about maybe looking for a veteran guard, somebody who can handle the ball a little bit. How realistic, though, is it at this stage, we're in late July now, that Kansas can find somebody who wouldn't just be basically a warm body, a roster spot filler, somebody who could actually help their team, even if it is just a break glass in case of emergency kind of addition.
Yeah, I don't know how realistic it is. I'm not sure. Obviously, KU got Dickie Coit last August. That was second week August, first week August, something like that. I think that it is going to be a challenge. I think something that would have to happen is someone gets an eligibility ruling, right? You're seeing a lot of these guys kind of stick around. Like I saw something yesterday for a football player who KU football was interested in December before some eligibility stuff was streamlined, and then now all of a sudden a judge ruled that he's actually clear, and camp starts in 2 weeks for some teams, a week for other teams. And so I think KU, it's going to come down to who gets an eligibility ruling, who is going to be able to find a loophole to get an extra year and be available. Because right now, I think the guys that would be available next year to go play somewhere are already finding their landing spots. And so I think Self mentioned it that they're looking, but I don't think it's something that they're very they're not going out of their way. Let's put it like that. I don't think they're lifting every rock trying to find someone. If something comes up and they're able to take advantage of it, they will, but I'm not too sure they're sweating over it.
The summer grassroots basketball season just wrapped up. You had all those big events, Peach Jam for Nike, Adidas had their big event. So a lot of the rising seniors, the class of 2026, had their last chance to really show out on the grassroots front this past week and change. We've known kind of the last couple of years who KU has made a top priority. And last year, of course, they got their guy in Darren Peterson. Who is maybe the top priority, the name to know? If you know one name about KU and their recruiting efforts for 2026 on the high school side, what's the name to know?
Oh, man, it's different this year. There is not a Darren Peterson that is the guy that, KU courted like no other. Tyron Stokes is someone they were involved with. He's the number one player in the class, but he is a Nike guy playing on a Nike team, and that is not going to help KU. I think there's some rumors going around that Kentucky might be the favorite for him. Caleb Holt is going to go play for Prolific Prep now. They're down in Florida. He's someone that KU's been involved for a long time. Top 10 player, really talented guard. I think he's going to be one that KU is going to make a run at this fall. He's not if you read some of the stories, he's not necessarily someone that KU's getting a lot of mention with right now, but KU's involved, and I think they're going to make a run at him this fall, get him on campus for a visit, see what happens. Ethan Taylor from Kansas City, he's someone that I feel very good about ending up in KU's class eventually. I mean, he's a top 25 player, 4-star big man, really talented player. He's going to go play at Link Academy in Branson, Missouri for his senior season. And then Tony Bryant's one more. He's already been on campus. He's a 5-star forward, plays in Florida. He's someone that plays on the Puma circuit. Jacques Vaughn and Jeremy Case have been to the Puma circuit a couple times this summer to go watch him. So those are some of the names. Talent-wise in this class, Stokes is far and away the best player. But I don't know outside of him if there's a Darren Peterson can't miss type of player. I think outside of that, KU's just going to kind of spread their make sure they have a wide pool. Let's put it like that. And then they can get guys on campus for a visit, see who wants to come to KU, and then make a move from there. But I think right now, if you said, hey, Michael, who's one guy you feel confident ends up in KU's class, I'd say Ethan Taylor does.
Our guest is Michael Swain of Fog.net, part of the 24/7 Sports Network. He joins us every Tuesday for Jayhawk Weekly here on 580 Sports Talk. Let's pivot to football because camp starts in 2 days. KU football preseason training camp opens up on Thursday. You've got a great piece about 3 storylines to track during KU's training camp that is up on the VIP portion of Fog.net. Rather than ask you about a storyline to track, I'm curious to you who you think has the most to prove on an individual level going into this training camp. Who's a player that you think has an opportunity to really prove that they're the mainstay at their position, they're the main man in their position group? Who is this training camp maybe the most important for on an individual level?
Yeah, I'm really interested to see how linebacker goes because you look at the top 3 there. You've got Bengali Kamara, Joseph Sipp, and Trey Lathan. I think KU's going to play with a lot of 2 linebacker looks, And I think it's going to be a lot more of maybe the 4-2-5 look we saw last year from KU. And it makes it for a very interesting camp for the linebackers, because you got 3 players for likely 2 spots. KU's going to come out the 2 deep. It could have 3 linebackers. It's not going to matter. And I think that position's so fascinating because KU needs to have better linebacker play. I think defensive line is going to be a big strength of this defense. But if your defensive line does their job, that's great. But if your linebackers are in the wrong gap or in the wrong spot or can't tackle anybody to save their lives, it's not going to do anything for you. So I think the linebacker spot's going to be really interesting. I think someone like Trey Lathan, you can look at what he did at West Virginia, played both of their linebacker spots, was a very productive player. He's going to compete with, Joseph Sipp for that Mike linebacker spot. And Lathan can also play kind of that outside linebacker spot as well. So I just think that position and those 3 guys are going to have such an interesting camp, because KU's going to have to decide who the starters are. And look, all 3 guys are going to play a lot, but it's a position that has the chance to really be a huge upgrade for KU. And I think camp's going to decide a lot. And obviously that availability during the course of the season, who can stay healthy, all that good stuff. But look, linebacker, it's just been bad for KU over the last couple of years. And I think this camp is going to be so important for those guys to get a rhythm, really make sure they know the defense, and then be able to hit the ground running where KU can get some good front 7 play at the beginning of the season.
How much of a big deal is it that this could be a healthy training camp for Jalen Daniels? The fact that he hasn't had one of these in a couple of years, an opportunity and a needed opportunity with all of the new faces at wide receiver to put himself in position to come into the year a lot more secure and in rhythm than he was going into 2024. And we saw it took him half a season to find his rhythm and get really comfortable again. How big is it for his comfort level, for the offense's comfort level, that he goes into this camp as healthy as he's come into a camp and maybe in his career since he became the starter?
Yeah, it's really huge. And man, you look back to last year, it wasn't even Jalen's fault, but some of the wide receivers were banged up, right? Lawrence Arnold missed all of spring. Quentin Skinner was banged up with soft tissue injury, I think from the middle of the summer on. And those guys didn't get reps together until 2 weeks before the season started, a week before the season started. So that was a big deal. And I think this, camp, it's going to be really important that the wide receivers stay healthy, right? You can't have a guy tweak a hamstring, tweak a quad in the first week, and all of a sudden he misses 2 weeks, and then he goes into the season, with maybe, 3-4 practices with Jalen Daniels going live. So, and then from a Jalen perspective, they need him to stay healthy. And it's going to be something, I think, any one of us reporters who goes to practice, the first guy you're looking for every single time you step foot on the practice field to watch the first kind of 30 minutes of practice, it's Jalen, right? You need to check and make sure that he's there. Is he doing everything, or is he limited in some capacity? It's so important, because as much as Jalen and the wide receivers have worked this summer to get on the same page, it's just a different animal when you have the full pads on and you've got opposing guys that can tackle your wide receivers or can really rough them up. It's different compared to doing it on air in California. So I think it's going to be a huge camp for that group, Jalen and the wide receivers, to really get some momentum, get some, chemistry going, where there isn't a miscommunication, against Fresno State like there was against Lindenwood, where Jalen throws an interception, right? Can you avoid those things that are controllable and really maximize the season that could be for Jalen in his last year in college?
Michael Swain of Fog.net, part of the 24/7 Sports Network, joins us every Tuesday here on 580 Sports Talk for a little segment we call Jayhawk Weekly. Again, now's a great time to become a VIP member at 24/7 Sports. Get access to all the great VIP information that Michael and the gang have over at Fog.net, an essential for the Jayhawk fan. Michael, always appreciate your time. We'll do it again next week.
Awesome. Sounds great. Talk to you guys next week.
That is Michael Swain. We'll step aside for a break, come back, and wrap up this hour of 580 Sports Talk after this. Our thanks again to Michael Swain of Fog.net for joining us here on 580 Sports Talk. Again, if you miss any of the program, the video archive available on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk, our podcast available, 580wibw.com, and on Spotify by searching for 580 Sports Talk. We are 45 days away from Chiefs kickoff. Our countdown to Chiefs kickoff continues on this first day of training camp. 45 days away from the Chiefs and the Chargers playing their Week 1 matchup in Brazil. And number 45 for the Chiefs is second-year cornerback Eric Scott Jr. If you remember us talking yesterday about Darius Rush, Eric Scott Jr. is just a newer model of Darius Rush. He is a cornerback who was drafted by a different team, cut at the end of training camp, signed by the Chiefs, and kept on the practice squad. The only difference between Eric Scott Jr. and Darius Rush is that Scott hasn't bounced to a different team before ultimately returning to the Chiefs. But they are the same guy. It's the same story. It's the same career path to this point. Defensive back, didn't make the team they were drafted to. Chiefs snatched him up, and they return for 2025 on the practice squad. I promise we'll get to more interesting players soon enough on the countdown to Chiefs kickoff.
We're getting there.
Coming up in the 5 o'clock hour, we got our sports headlines, including the Honey Badger, calling it a career. Tyrann Mathieu hangs it up. Plus, Random Question Tuesday and a Royals preview. That's all coming up in the final hour. 580 Sports Talk. Well, let's get it. Third and final hour on this Tuesday edition of 580 Sports Talk. Dan Lucero, Spencer Dupuis, rocking with you on the Sports Voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW, FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com. And, of course, on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk, and on our Facebook page, WIBW News. Thanks for hanging out with us on this Tuesday. We got one more hour plus a little overtime for you before we hand off to Royals baseball at the bottom of the 6 o'clock hour. Pregame coverage starting at 6:30 before a 7:05 first pitch on the north side of Chicago as the Royals shoot for a series win against the Cubbies tonight. We'll have some overtime between 6 and 6:30. Michael Swain of Fog.net will be our overtime conversation of the day.
And a little Andy Reid.
Oh, well, how about that? Yeah, if you missed Andy Reid earlier, we'll play Big Red's remarks from training camp earlier today. So multiple conversations of the day. Lucky y'all on 580 Sports Talk overtime today. One more hour, traditional hour of the show. Want to hear from you throughout the final hour of the show. The text line is open. Shoot us a text, 785-272-9429. That is 785-272-9429. You can also jump in the YouTube chat if you are watching the program on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk. Go check it out. It's past 5 o'clock. You're done working, right? Fire up YouTube on your phone or on your computer, on your tablet. There's a chat feature that you can access during the live show, and you can interact with your hosts and with your fellow listeners as you go along. So jump in that chat. If you, again, have never watched the show on YouTube, today's a great day to give it a shot. And go subscribe to that YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk. And if you don't hang around long enough to watch or comment in the chat today, do subscribe to the channel so you can do it another time. Again, the name of the channel, 580 Sports Talk. We will preview Royals-Cubs Game 2 a little bit later on this hour. We'll also get around to Random Question Tuesday, which we did not get around to typically in the 3 o'clock hour, but we'll do Random Question Tuesday here in a little bit. We got our 580 Sports Talk headlines as well. But, man, we got to start with a real headline today. Man, R.I.P. to the Prince of Darkness himself, Ozzy Osbourne, died today at the age of 76. And, folks, you could have told me Ozzy was 86 or 96 or 106, and I would have believed it just looking at the guy. He packed a lot of living. Some of it good, some of it not in those 76 years. But Ozzy Osbourne dead today, just a couple of weeks after a farewell concert for him and his legendary band Black Sabbath. Favorite Ozzy/Sabbath song, Spencer? I know you got to have one. Everybody's got one. Even if it's a cliche answer, that's fine. There's a reason cliches are cliches. You hear them all the time because they're true.
I mean, I don't know. Like, there's just so many good ones.
There are a lot of good ones. It is a very easy answer for me, though.
You got to look at Mama, I'm Coming Home, Crazy Train. Crazy Train's that.
So when
cliche.
I was a kid growing up, going to baseball games in Denver, Larry Walker, of course, Hall of Fame right fielder for the Colorado Rockies, batted third in the lineup just about every day he was healthy. He was in the lineup batting third, and we came to the plate, his batting music every year, every time, Crazy Train. So when
that's like a sports classic.
When I hear Crazy Train, I think about Larry Walker. Heard it before K-State games, K-State football games. They played it. It is definitely a stadium anthem for sure, but I'll always associate it with Larry Walker, one of my favorite baseball players growing up. That Crazy Train was his walk-up music. So Crazy Train is definitely high on my list, but man, the intro to Mr. Crowley, holy cow. Mama, I'm Coming Home. He could do ballads, man. He could do them really well. He wasn't just scream and bite the heads off of bats, man. He had range.
I'm almost certain he ended his farewell concert with that. Mama, I'm Coming Home.
That would make sense. Jason says his favorite is Crazy Train as well. Vance goes with Iron Man. Listen, you talk about another stadium classic. I don't want to admit, I didn't want to admit this back when I was doing Washburn games. But for 4 years I did color commentary on Washburn basketball at Jake LeBon. and my first trip to White Auditorium to see the basketball version of the Turnpike Tussle, right? Huge rivalry. Washburn and Emporia. Supposed to hate Emporia. And the Emporia State women came out of the locker room to start their warm-ups to Iron Man. And I told Jake after the game, I said, Jake, that was kind of sick. Like, I know I'm gotta be Mr. Washburn. I'm on the radio. Giving any credit to Emporia, but that was sick. That was so cool. Iron Man rocked. As iconic a song intro as there has ever been. People will know that guitar riff 100 years from now. And they will know the band responsible. They will know Ozzy Osbourne. So, yeah, I had to mention that. We had some mentions at the top of the show on the chat. A lot of folks talking about Ozzy. A legend. And an icon and an innovator in the reality TV space. For better or for worse, a lot of what is on television today would not exist if not for the Osbournes.
Yeah.
Again, for better or for worse. You may not love it. You may have a spouse who enjoys it quite a bit. But reality television exists in the form in which it exists in large part because of the success of the Osbournes. And what a life. A lot of living in those 76 years for the Prince of Darkness. So shout out Ozzy Osbourne and crank up Iron Man or Crazy Train tonight in his honor. All right, let's get to some 580 Sports Talk headlines, shall we? Let's begin with this note from X account at Saints. We'll go there. New Orleans Saints put it out. Tyrann Mathieu has announced his retirement from the NFL. The former Chief, also former Texan and former Cardinal, and most recently a member of the New Orleans Saints for the last 3 seasons, posted this to his Instagram earlier today. As I hang up my cleats, I'm filled with gratitude as I close this chapter of my life and officially retire from the game that shaped me in every way. From my first snap in college to my final play in the NFL, this journey has been but more than anything, it gave me a community. To every coach who believed in me, every teammate who battled beside me, and every fan who showed up, cheered, and rode with me through the highs and lows, thank you. You gave me strength when I needed it most, and your love carried me farther than I ever imagined. I hope it made you proud out there. This isn't goodbye. It's just the next chapter. Much love always, Tyrann. I want to say a few things about Tyrann Mathieu. Number one, to have grown up as hard as Tyrann Mathieu did, had a very, very difficult upbringing. And to have had the professional and personal life that Tyrann Mathieu has maintained throughout his NFL career, that's a win. That's a win if he'd never been an All-Pro, won a Super Bowl, anything like that. To have made it out of what he made it out of is the win of Tyrann Mathieu's life. So he is inspiring in that way and would be if he had not been an all-time great and an All-American at LSU. Had he not been a 3-time first-team All-Pro, including twice with the Kansas City Chiefs in 2019 and 2020, and a Super Bowl champion in 2019 with the Chiefs. Tyrann Mathieu would be a champion for those reasons alone. But Tyrann Mathieu was a hell of a player. If you missed college Tyrann Mathieu, like if you weren't there for that, man alive, what a college player. So there was like a 5-minute highlight reel of Tyrann Mathieu in college. He got the nickname the Honey Badger because he really would just take the football away from you.
Yeah.
He would just take the ball. Like you had the ball, Tyrann Mathieu took the ball. You threw the ball, Tyrann Mathieu intercepted the ball. Unbelievable. I really believe he's one of my all-time favorite college players. I loved watching him play, and everybody loved the Honey Badger nickname. Like, he is iconic as a college football player. He's one of the best in the last 25 years. There's no question about that. This first quarter century, there haven't been 20 better college football players than Tyrann Mathieu. But he was so much fun, and everybody loved the nickname. I was joking. I was talking about this with Brendan Dworzinski off the air today, that by the time his second season, his sophomore season was up and the Honey Badger nickname had really permeated, when Brent Musburger would call LSU games, he would just call him Badger. It was his name. Like, that's how, and it's one of the great sports nicknames, even though he would distance himself from it over time. Of course, in his Chiefs days, he was called the Landlord. That was the nickname he went by in his time as a Chief. But the whole Honey Badger thing in college, I mean, you had to be there. And then to, once again, overcome. He had a bit of a drug issue, although, like, he really liked marijuana, was what it came down to. He liked marijuana a lot. And was failing a lot of drug tests, and Les Miles kicked him off the team, and he went to some rehab. But came through that, was a third-round pick. Didn't play his junior college season, was a third-round draft pick. That was always nonsense. All you had to do was watch him play. That's one of those all-time, like, if you watch college football, you're screaming at the TV, just draft him.
Yeah.
He's awesome. Well, he's a little too small. It's too small. He takes the football from guys twice his size routinely. Just take him. And the Cardinals did, and he played really well for them. He had a nice year with Houston. And then he signs with the Chiefs. And I don't think it's exaggerating. And then there are a lot of people on social media that even go further than I'm willing to go in saying this. Outside of Patrick Mahomes, you could argue that Tyrann Mathieu is the most important Chief of this Super Bowl era, because his presence changed the culture on the Chiefs defense. Obviously a change in coordinator would go a long way towards doing that as well. But there was the Chiefs on defense before Tyrann Mathieu, and there was the Chiefs on defense after Tyrann Mathieu. He brought an attitude. He brought a swagger. He brought a playmaking ability. He brought a nose for the football. He brought big game ability to the Chiefs defense. They just hadn't had a guy like that. Eric Berry was kind of a guy like that. Eric Berry was a great player, but obviously injuries wrecked the back half, and unfortunately cancer as well also cost him some playing time towards the second half of Eric Berry's career. But Tyrann Mathieu remade the Chiefs defense. I think Mark B has it exactly right in the YouTube chat to say that Mathieu was the brains and the heart of the Chiefs defense. There is the Chiefs before Tyrann Mathieu on defense, and there was the Chiefs with and after Tyrann Mathieu. He is such a big part of this story that is still being written as the Chiefs write their name in NFL history as one of the all-time great dynasties. And obviously, they don't do it without Mahomes. He's the quarterback, and that's always going to make him the most important guy. But outside of him, and this is no disrespect to Travis Kelce and Chris Jones and so many other great Chiefs of the last going on 7 years now, Tyrann Mathieu was the guy. He was the reason that all of this happened, more so than anybody but Mahomes. And a guy who you loved rooting for, you loved having him on your team, even when he went to New Orleans. Like the Chiefs, obviously, they thought he was done, right? They let him go after 2021. They thought he was out of good football. He was a free agent. They didn't re-sign him. They signed Justin Reed instead, and Justin Reed gave him some years of good football. But Mathieu ends up going to New Orleans, and his first year in New Orleans was really good.
I remember, yeah, it was, because I was like, why are the Chiefs, who at that point I was like, they're about to be the Patriots of the era, right? As somebody as an outsider,
sure.
I was like, why did they not re-sign him? I remember seeing him play in New Orleans the next year and being like dumbfounded why he wasn't still on the Chiefs.
And he had a great year with the Saints in 22. 2 years where age was starting to catch up with him, as you'd understand, the last 2 seasons. And on the eve of training camp, decides to call it a career. He started looking at those on-field temperatures for training camp. He started thinking about, man, do I really want to put my body through this again? And the decision was no. And I respect that wholeheartedly. There will be a debate to be had, because I do not think that you can question the historical importance of Tyrann Mathieu, the Kansas City Chiefs. But is 3 years long enough to get into a Ring of Honor for a franchise? Because that's the debate. And I think it's a fascinating debate. I will defer to people with a more vast knowledge of Chiefs history. But I think if you want the Ring of Honor to encompass the most important and influential players in franchise history, then you can't have a Chiefs Ring of Honor without Tyrann Mathieu. I don't care they only played 3 years. He was an All-Pro in 2 of those years. And I'm going to tell you this. The more I thought about it, like, talk about this off air, mention a Hall of Fame case. And my gut said, I don't know. But man, 3-time first-team All-Pro, one of the most influential players in the creation of the modern NFL dynasty that the Chiefs have become. Durable, playmaker, successful. I think he might be. I think there might be a bust in Canton for Tyrann Mathieu someday. He may have to wait a while for it, but I'm willing to listen to that argument too. Is Tyrann Mathieu a Hall of Fame? Love for you Chiefs fans to weigh in. Get in the YouTube chat. Get in on the text line 785-272-9429. Tyrann Mathieu, Ring of Honor, yes or no? Hall of Famer, yes or no? Let us know what you think. Next headline, we got a couple of disgruntled NFL stars that aren't in camp, Spencer.
Yeah, but for what it's worth, one is in Florida and one is just hanging out waiting for a contract to get done. So,
who's in Florida?
According to Diana Rossini, she spoke with Bengals disgruntled star Trey Hendrickson, and they have him and his wife have decided to head to Jacksonville, Florida, and train. Apparently, he, for the last 30 days, had been in his home in Cincinnati and training, but as training camp approached, he and his wife decided to leave. They received 2 offers in a 24-hour span, none containing his guarantees he wanted past the first year he was looking for. Hendrickson didn't want to hear practice whistles while being a distraction to his teammates, so he and his wife, Elisa, decided to pack up and head to Florida. Down in Jacksonville, he continues to train, hoping that the deal can get worked out. Quote, I was more than willing to take less in some ways in order to make this work, end quote. So that's one of the stars. The other star is Terry McLaurin. We heard what he had to say. We talked about what he had to say last week, and he doesn't show up to camp today. And it's kind of interesting because he said last week that he would probably show up if things had started to improve. And then this morning, GM Adam Peters spoke, and they said that they've had good conversations. So something's not adding up. But there are reports that he is hanging out in the D.C. area. So, for what that's worth.
The Hendrickson thing is so interesting, especially for him to say and to go on record saying, like, look, I'd take a little less money. I'm willing to be flexible here and I'd love to stay in Cincinnati, but this is what the Bengals do. They are a cheap organization. They lowball their people. It's why it's so stunning that they've managed to do the long-term deals that they've done with Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. And going all in on offense while you have Joe Burrow is not a bad decision to make by any means. But this Hendrickson issue doesn't seem like it's headed anywhere good, anywhere fast. So it's never great when training camp opens and your best defensive player on what is a stinky defense is taking pictures in an entirely different state, and not like the next state over either.
Yeah,
like it's not like he's like I'll just go chill in
10 states south.
I'm gonna go chill in Western Pennsylvania. I'm gonna go put my feet up in like Detroit. No, he's down in sunny Jacksonville. So that is the latest on a couple of disgruntled NFL stars. Next headline. This one comes from Newsweek's website. I didn't know Newsweek was still in the league. Frankly, I didn't know they were out there doing like original reporting or anything like that. I remember when it was a magazine, but I didn't know Newsweek was still in the league. Anyway.
I didn't know Newsweek 1 was still in the league and 2 did sports report.
I didn't know either of those things. But we do have this story from Newsweek. Red Sox pitcher confronts commissioner about gambling social media threats. 3 months after a teammate and his wife went public with death threats they received on social media, Red Sox pitcher Lucas Giolito was compelled to confront Commissioner Rob Manfred about the issue. Giolito told Rob Bradford on the Baseball Isn't Boring podcast that the threats against Boston pitcher Liam Hendriks back in May were hardly an isolated incident. Giolito said the online threats are getting worse by the year, by the week, by the day. I'm getting messages after every game, he said. Even games where I pitched well, they're mad at me because I hit the strikeout over instead of being under. Prop bets, all these crazy things. People put hundreds of dollars on it. They don't have a lot of money, but they're gambling it anyway because it's a disease. They freak out. Giolito told Bradford that Manfred was receptive to his feedback during their one-on-one meeting. Is it going to take a player getting assaulted in front of their apartment building by some disgruntled guy who lost a bet for real action to be taken? Giolito asked Manfred. Giolito said his fear that someone in a drastic state could injure or kill a player is genuine based on some of the message he's received. The threats when a player doesn't perform well, threats to their family, threats to their life, it's getting very tiring, Giolito said. I worry for guys that maybe are new to the league and aren't ready for something like that, you know? Manfred recently spoke to the Red Sox as a team about growing the game of baseball before Giolito said he pulled him aside for their one-on-one conversation. Giolito would say he appreciated Manfred coming around and talking to everybody. I think Giolito's the player rep for the union for the Red Sox, or he's involved in the union at a pretty high level. So he's a pretty important guy when it comes to voices among active players. I'm not going to be the gambling scold. I'm not going to be the person that says we need to ban gambling, get rid of gambling. I'm not going to be that. I've enjoyed putting down a wager or two in my time. I've been compensated, full disclosure, for promotion of gambling websites and things of that nature. But look, if this is the direction we're heading in, if this is what players, professional athletes, college athletes are having to deal with on a day-to-day basis, then something has to be done. And I think the obvious something is the major professional leagues and the NCAA have to get together and lobby. And we got to get rid of prop bets.
Yeah.
That to me is the one thing where when we're seeing the scandals, we're seeing players banned for life in the NBA. It's Luis Ortiz of the Guardians is under investigation right now. This is all prop bet stuff. This is not who do you think is going to win. This is not who do you think is going to cover the spread. This is what do I think the next pitch is going to be. How many rebounds is the ninth guy on the Hornets going to have in a game? Like, that's the kind of stuff that if you do your research, you think you can get an edge on those bets. And you put down $1,000 on a Lucas Giolito strikeout prop, and then he has a good game, and you got the nerve to tell him, sleep with one eye open, you sold my parlay, or all that nonsense. I think prop bets got to go. Yeah. I think player props are doing more harm than they are doing good. And I think that's an easy thing for players to stand up against. I think that would also be, given, again, the state of play when it comes to the scandals in the NBA and Major League Baseball. I think that's a really easy thing for the leagues to come out and say, hey, we don't want anything to do with this, because this is A, how games can be manipulated even on a small scale, and B, this is now posing a real threat to our players. Because it's all fun and games. It's all keyboard warriors hiding behind, their avatars and their fake names and making these threats. And it's all jokes to them, and it's all anonymous and all of that. It's all anonymous until it's not, until it's somebody who runs up on an athlete outside their house with a gun. And then what? Then what do you do? What do you do? What happens? Does it have to escalate to that point for leagues to call for some change and protect their athletes? I hope it doesn't, but I understand being concerned that it might. Next headline, Spencer.
Yes, the basketball tournament, you might have heard of that, or better known as TBT.
TBT. We had a Sunflower Showdown, the TBT last night.
Yeah, the first ever official sanctioned TBT alumni Sunflower Showdown, because usually they just play in a
like a tune-up
charity thing where they raise money, I'm pretty sure, for charity, I think. But they've never actually faced each other in the tournament. Well, they did so last night at Municipal Auditorium in Kansas City. Number 2 seeded Jayhawks hoops knocked off number 3 seeded Purple Rain 59-57 to go to the KC Regional Finals in the Elam ending. And it was Purple Rain that squashed an easy effort to get the win on free throws. And then they retained possession, squashed that on a steal by a Jayhawks hoops player.
LeGerald Vick.
Put
some respect on LeGerald Vick at Vic Love Kicks.
And he took it down, laid it up and in, and they won. They're going to take on number 1 seeded Hardfire Wednesday at 6 p.m. That'll be tomorrow. It's on the TBT YouTube channel. And then in Wichita, number 2 seeded Aftershocks, that's the Wichita State alumni team, takes on the number 1 seeded Forever Cougs, the Houston alumni team, tonight at 8 p.m. in the Wichita region final. That's again on the TBT YouTube page. And whoever wins those, they will face off each other in the next round. So the winner of the KC regional and the Wichita regional will face off in the next round.
So LeGerald Vick made the play, but it was pretty cool to see former Washburn Ichabod Jacob Hanna playing a contributing role for JHX Hoops last night in that win over Purple Rain. Sean Williams smoked those free throws. Just need to make one, and the K-State alum would have won. The former Sean Neal Williams, that's what he was known as when he played at K-State. Now just going by Sean Williams. Two to make one, and he smoked them both.
And then you get possession.
Yeah, you get
like that's part of it is you get possession. So you had 3 opportunities.
Yeah, it was painful for Purple Rain, no doubt, but thrilling. Looked like an okay crowd at Municipal Auditorium. It wasn't packed.
Yeah.
Like I've seen Charles Koch Arena close to full for some of these games. I don't know if the bloom's off the rose. I haven't watched any of the Wichita games in this tournament, but I've seen like really good crowds at Koch. I didn't think it was quite that at Municipal Auditorium last night, but still looked like an enthusiastic crowd there to watch the JHX Hoops and Purple Rain. So,
I told you, I think the TBT is spreading itself a little bit too much. I think it'd be cool. You have a big regional in Kansas City or Wichita, and it's all the teams.
Well, hey, look, if they can sell the tickets, and they know they can sell them in Wichita, so they've always done really well there. So I don't blame them for trying to see, okay, well, let's take some of those, some of that support, see if we can't, fill a different building. Maybe they do scale it back in coming years. But the fascinating thing, I was reading something in the Wichita Eagle, I think it was, about the Aftershocks team. Some of those guys are getting up there. Like,
yeah,
some of those guys have been doing this a while. And,
I mean,
and they get to a point where, like, some of them are still playing professionally, some are not. And you wonder, like, okay, how long are like Rashard Kelly and Connor Frankamp and Marcus McDuffie, how long are they going to want to keep doing this?
Well, that's like what happened with the West Virginia alumni team, Best Virginia. They had John Flowers was the lead there, and he is 36. And for the Marshall alumni team, John Elmore, hero in the game against Wichita State in the NCAA tournament, he wasn't able to play because he's playing in the G League.
So yeah, it's about finding that next, I guess, generation of guys who are going to carry the banner for those respective alumni teams, because that's where the draw is. Like, nobody's turning on TBT to watch Heartfire unless you know one of the players.
Exactly.
The draw is the alumni teams, and if those start to disassemble with the guys who really started them up and were enthusiastic about them getting older, then I do have concern about the future of the tournament.
Well, that's like up in the Syracuse regional, the Boeheim's Army. They lost to We Are D3s, a bunch of D3 players.
Hey, don't disrespect Division III basketball.
I'm not disrespecting. I'm just saying Syracuse, very proud program with alumni. A lot of them obviously in the NCAA or in the NBA, though.
We'll take a break. That'll do it for headlines. We'll come back with a little bit of Random Question Tuesday, plus your text, 785-272-9429, and your YouTube comments. Still more 580 Sports Talk coming up after this. I wasn't going to talk over that. R.I.P. to the Prince of Darkness. 537 here on 580 Sports Talk. Dan and Spencer hanging out with you.
Figure we had to play that.
We had
Out of
to.
respect.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Today was the day. We should have done all Aussie bumps, honestly. Random question Tuesday. What do you do when you get a wrong number text? And I'm asking this because I had some personal experience with this today. And I don't mean like a spam text. I don't mean like when you get a text from a area code that you don't recognize and is trying to convince you that like you have delinquent taxes or you still owe a toll bill or a parking ticket. I got one of those the other day. I got one that said, oh, you still have an outstanding parking ticket in the state of Colorado. And the area code was 202. Like, yeah, that's a DC area. Yeah. Because I Googled, because I knew it wasn't a Colorado area code. I was curious. So I'm not talking about a spam text. I'm talking about legitimately somebody entered the number in their phone wrong and a text that was meant for someone else came to you. I want your answers to this, by the way. I want on the text line 785-272-9429, or you can put it in the YouTube comments if you are watching on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk. How do you handle the wrong number text?
I pretty much either just say like wrong number or just like leave it.
So I, for a long time, left it alone, right? Like if I got a text from a number I did not recognize, I left it alone. But I think that there are some times where it's like sometimes the text can be really ambiguous and then you just kind of leave it alone.
Yeah.
And that's understandable. But sometimes the text is very clearly meant for someone. And I would feel bad if that someone didn't get the text. And if the original texter thought they were texting someone and didn't receive a reply. Like, I would feel bad.
Yeah, I mean, I get it.
So let me tell you what happened today. I got a text today from an area code, the 408 area code. Do you know that one off the top of your head? Bet you don't.
Is that, I think I've had to type in that here on our phone system.
408 is San Jose.
Yes. You know who has a 408 area code?
Who's that?
Our pal, Jayhawk Weekly, Michael Swain.
No, he doesn't.
408?
It's not 408, is it?
That's what I typed into the phone and got him on the phone today.
Well, yeah, you're right. He is from out
I
west.
think he's from out west.
Yeah, he is. He's a 49ers fan. Yeah. Michael Swain has a 408 area code. So I knew it wasn't Michael Swain because his number's in my phone.
Yeah.
So I got a 408 text today. A text from the 408. And the text read, I'm going to cook braised pork ribs today. Will you come to dinner tonight? So that's obviously for somebody, right?
It could, or it could be a spam text trying to get you to text with them. I've seen that before.
See, maybe I'm too trusting. Because my initial thought was, look, man, this person is inviting someone for dinner and I should let them know that they've got the wrong number. So I responded to that one with, I'm sorry, but you have the wrong number. And the reply I got back was, sorry, I sent the wrong message. So
that seems a little weird. Sorry, I sent the wrong message.
Yes, or sent to the wrong. Like I'm assuming this is an older person. Like yeah. I would assume like I don't think I've ever done it. Like I always double and triple check.
The only thing I've ever done is text somebody in my contacts when I meant to text somebody else.
Oh yeah, I mean we've all done that, right? Like I've texted like been in the wrong thread on your phone. Like you open it up and you think like I've tried to text my wife and actually texted like the whole family. We get texts on the text line sometimes that are inadvertent texts.
Yeah.
But and it happens. It happens. You open up the wrong window or whatever. But no, I've always thought like most of the time it's a very ambiguous text. I'm just going to leave it alone. But if it's like specific enough that it was clearly meant for somebody, I'd feel bad if they didn't get that through to the right person. So I'm going to say wrong number. Because you never know, right? Like what you that story of the person who got the wrong number text and now he goes to that woman's house for Thanksgiving every year because they got the Thanksgiving invite.
Yeah.
And he says, we pull it up. And then they pulled up and they had a great time and they're still friends like 10 years later. Like you never know. You never know. Vance shares a story on the YouTube chat. I got a random text that said we were going to Jason's Deli one morning. I answered back saying, sure, sounds good. I then said, I have no idea who you are. He said, join us anyway. So I did. Nice people. See, you never know. Maybe I could have been eating braised pork ribs tonight.
In San Jose?
In San Jose. Yeah. Maybe. That could have been my life.
Anyway. Take the Dan Lucero private jet?
Yeah. You know, I keep a private jet. So that's my, what do you do when you get a, because sometimes I do feel like it's a very obvious, like fishing attempt. Like, I feel like I can sniff those out a little bit.
Yeah.
I've been around long enough to know what fishing, PH fishing looks like. That didn't feel like fishing. That just felt like somebody typed the number in wrong. Anyhow, what's your random question today?
What is a series that you got into later, but then never caught up on? Because I'm just doing this now and I watched the pilot and realized I never watched the pilot with the show Burn Notice that was on USA back in the day.
Okay.
I caught it like season 2 or 3, but obviously when it was premiering on TV, there wasn't really streaming.
So this is most of the television dramas that I watch with my wife is the correct answer to this. Like, my wife really likes, I jokingly call it the Dick Wolf expanded cinematic universe, which has shrunk because a couple of the FBIs didn't get renewed.
Well, and their characters are shrinking too.
So
I'll tell you that off there.
We've got we're down to one FBI.
But FBI CIA is coming.
If you don't spoil it for me, because then I know something, and then I have to tell my wife because she likes spoilers.
Well, the problem is nobody dies.
Okay,
they just are cutting casts.
Anyway, so they're down to one FBI. We're down to just one of the Law and Orders we watch because the Law and Order original, like the OG Law and Order reboot, it stinks, man.
That's what I've heard.
It's not good. It pales in comparison to the original. So, but like we watch SVU, and then there's the Chicago shows. The only one of those I watch is PD. She watches Med. She quit on Fire, and I never got started on that one. But like, there's all this lore in Chicago PD. That's like 11 seasons deep. And I've known my wife long enough now. I've watched like the last 4 seasons with her, but I'm not like going back to watch season 1 of Chicago PD on my own time. I'm just going to ask my wife, hey, what are they talking about? And she'll know. She's been with us since the beginning.
Yeah. I mean, I was in from the beginning too. So
Paul says, I got into both Breaking Bad and Walking Dead long after they were at peak popularity, never finished either series. I feel like this will hurt my reputation with some folks who think I have good taste. I watched like 7 episodes of Breaking Bad and I bailed.
I had to bail on Breaking Bad because unfortunately the summer I was watching it, or the time I started at school to watch it and was coming back in the summer, was the same summer my dad got cancer.
Mm-hmm.
So it was very hard to watch.
Sure.
You wanted something to escape.
Right.
And when he's got cancer, it's kind of hard to escape.
No, that absolutely makes sense.
So I've never finished it.
So yeah, I tried to stream Breaking Bad. I got 7 episodes into the first season. It wasn't like it was bad. I just didn't get any further than that. And then Walking Dead, I watched 1 episode. That was all I could handle with Walking Dead. I couldn't do any more Walking Dead.
I try to watch Yellowstone. I can't get into it.
You're not the only one. My parents hated it.
It's not that I hated it. It just seemed too much.
It's a lot going on.
Yes.
We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll preview Cubs-Royals game 2 tonight. Dick Mountain is back in the bigs. We'll talk about it. 580 Sports Talk. Royals Cubs game 2 of the 3-game series in Chicago tonight. First pitch, 7:05. Pregame coverage on the Royals Baseball Network here, 580 WIBW FM 104.9 at 6:30. Rich Hill will take the mound for the Royals. He will become the oldest Royal in club history the minute he throws a pitch. 45 years and 133 days old. Gaylord Perry was 45 years and 6 days old when he concluded his Hall of Fame career with the Royals. Rich Hill will have the distinction of being the oldest pitcher in both Kansas City and Tampa Bay history. When Rich Hill was drafted, Jack Caglione had only just been conceived. He would not be born for another 8 months. Rich Hill was drafted in the same draft that Zach Greinke was drafted in. Greinke was the 6th overall pick in 2002. Rich Hill was taken in the 4th round by the Cubs that same year.
He was on something today on FanDuel Sports Network, and he was asked that he was 1 year old when he made his debut.
I'm looking at the Cubs lineup. Justin Turner is in the lineup tonight for the Cubs. If he should face Rich Hill, it will be the 4th time that a 40-something Royals pitcher will face a 40-year-old hitter. It happened on 2 occasions when Gene Garber was a member of the Royals in 1988. He faced Darrell Evans of the Tigers and Bob Boone of the Angels. Gaylord Perry also faced a 40-year-old Carl Yastrzemski back in 1983. Ian Kraft from Royals PR had some of those stats on X earlier today. Rich Hill, they call him Dick Mountain for reasons that should be pretty obvious because his name is Rich Hill. Even put it on the back of his Players Weekend jersey one year, although he had to abbreviate the first name. It was just D. Mountain. His 14th major league team he'll be appearing with tonight, and he will face this lineup for the Cubs. Nico Horner leads off at second base. Kyle Tucker's in right field. Seiya Suzuki is the DH. Carson Kelly will catch. Pete Crow Armstrong back in the lineup for the Cubs tonight, the NL MVP candidate. He is a left-handed hitter with 26 home runs, 28 stolen bases, and he'll bat 5th. Dansby Swanson bats 6th at short. Then Ian Happen left, Justin Turner at 1st, and Matt Shaw at 3rd, batting 9th. The lineup backing Rich Hill against fellow veteran lefty Matt Boyd will be Jonathan India at second base. Bobby Witt Jr. gets a half a day off today. He's DHing and batting 2nd. Michael Garcia will play short and bat 3rd. Salvador Perez is at first base tonight, hitting cleanup. He jumps up a spot. Everybody's up a spot. Vinny Pasquantino getting a full day off against the left-handed starter. Nick Lofton will bat 5th and play 3rd base tonight, followed by Jack Caglione in right, Freddie Fermin behind the plate, and a pair of lefties in the 8 and the 9 spots, John Rave in left and Kyle Isbell in center. I love Matt Boyd's career story almost as much as I love Rich Hill's career story, because Matt Boyd was always really promising when he was with the Tigers as a younger pitcher. The only thing that kept him from being really good, he could not stop giving up home runs. He gave up so many home runs.
Jeez, yeah.
And then he pops up with 8 really good starts for Cleveland last year in a pennant race after he was all but forgotten. He wasn't very good in 2022 with the Tigers. And then this year he makes an all-star team with the Cubs. And what did he stop doing? Giving up so many home runs.
Yep.
For the first 2 years of his career, he's had a home run per 9 rate under 1. He keeps the ball in the park now, and now he is really good. And maybe he'll be pitching at age 45 too.
Who knows?
He's on track. Rich Hill, Matthew Boyd, a matchup of veteran left-handers. Again, the combined age of the 2 starting pitchers tonight is 79 years old. First
I think
pitch,
that's so
7:05.
crazy. Like, I get you can pitch when you're that old, but like, why? Like Rich Hill,
Why not? If you can still get guys out, why not?
But he's made a decent amount of money in his career, right?
Yeah.
Like, go home with the family. Like, do you hate your family that much? Do you just love ball too much? Like, does your family love versus ball love? Is ball love above that?
Hey, listen, have curveball will travel is all I can explain with Rich Hill. He's always had that great curve. And if the ball's still curving, why not go see if you can't fool guys 20 years your senior? Guys who weren't born when you were drafted. Why not? It's a great story. But obviously the Royals need to win this game. They need it to be more than a great story. They need 5 good innings from Dick Mountain tonight. We'll take a timeout, come back, wrap up 580 Sports Talk next. We'll have some overtime for you on 580 Sports Talk, but before that, let's wrap up the regulation portion of the program with a final word. Spencer Dupuis.
Yeah, I think it's huge for the Chiefs and experience that Jalen Moore is going to get during the first couple of weeks of training camp at right tackle. It's not only good for Jalen Moore, it's good for Josh Simmons. You get both your guys getting oriented, knowing how the snaps are going to be from Patrick Mahomes, knowing how he communicates with his offensive line. I think it's huge for all parties involved, and I think it basically is showing that that's the plan for the long term. Is everybody's been talking about that, the fact that the Chiefs have an opt-out, or they can basically opt out of Jawan Taylor's contract next year, and they can cut him. And I think that's what they'll do if Jalen Moore can be a serviceable to above average right tackle in this league, if that's what he's going to be. And I think this time in training camp so valuable. And at the point he's on the PUP list is Taylor. I think there's going to be a point where we're going to see that in the game, maybe in the preseason, where you see Jalen Moore working at right tackle and you see Josh Simmons working at left tackle in a preseason game. I think it'd be huge for their development.
Final word for me today. Salute to Tyrann Mathieu on the end of a great football career. 2 electrifying seasons at LSU where he was as entertaining a college defensive player as we will ever see. And then a great NFL career, 3-time first-team All-Pro, twice with the Chiefs, and, of course, a Super Bowl champion, a transformative member of the Chiefs, so much so that I really do think he belongs in the Chiefs Ring of Honor, even though he only played 3 seasons with the team. When I think of Tyrann Mathieu, I think of the Honey Badger nickname. I think of his electrifying punt returns in college. I think of his ball hawking ability, his rising to the occasion in the biggest games for the Chiefs. But I also think of what he posted on Twitter when it was called then, the night the Chiefs won Super Bowl 54. 11:07 that night in the afterglow of beating the 49ers to win Super Bowl 54. Tyrann Mathieu posted, "I really want to entertain all my haters, but I'm a champion. I believe I'm past that phase." You always will be, Honey Badger, landlord. Salute on a great career. Overtime's next. We'll be back tomorrow from 3 and, well, we'll be back tomorrow after a Royals day game until 6. For Spencer, I'm Dan. It's 580 Sports Talk. Good night.